Still good morning. Yes. All right. Yesterday we started off, I thought the guys came back in really good shape. At 1 o'clock yesterday, we ran a conditioning test. Everybody passed that ran the test, which was really good. Putting guys in the DEXA and the bod pod and looking at their body fat percentages, it was really good in terms of the guys we targeted. You know, we wanted to come down and get into a good percentage, and they did that, and so we're excited about that. So I wanted to thank the players first. And then today we got started. You know, we're going at 10 o'clock, and I thought it was a good practice, for good operation for the first day. Today was also Community Day. You know, so you guys saw that Highland Park football team was out there. That was great. Glassa, the wheelchair Bears team, was also out there as well. So we got a chance to spend some good time with those guys after practice. That was pretty cool. You know, the practice today, we really worked on a lot of situational things on purpose. We put them in the red zone a lot on this first day because we don't want them to run into yards. You know, we don't want the receivers to run down the field. It's more controlled, and plus it's really good situationally for us to be able to put that emphasis in right away. You can certainly feel the guys starting off from this first practice to way back in the OTAs and that, you know, the camps that we had, that they're ahead of where they were. You know, so that's a positive thing. The guys retained a lot of good information from the installs. And we're going to put a lot at them, you know, going forward here. Every day they're going to have a lot put at them. So it's going to be exciting to see who can handle the installs. And I told them after practice about being able to trust those guys. The guys we can trust to execute are the guys that are going to play in the games for us. So that was pretty exciting. And as you guys saw, we did list a couple guys on the NFI and the PUP. So we did, you know, Kushank and then Joseph and Sharp there on the NFI, and then Camaro and Smith were on the PUP. So that's just the nature when the guys come in. We assess where they are, and that's where those guys are. Again, as I talked to you guys prior to, I'm not going to really talk a lot about injuries. The guys will be back when they're back, and we're going to coach them when they're here and when they're on the field. So that's pretty much that from there. We're in the middle of a ramp-up session here, mandated by the league, so we can start ramping up the times of practice. Today was pretty short. It was 80 minutes. So, you know, we'll just keep going with that, you know, shorter individuals during this ramp-up time, and then as it gets longer, we'll really put more emphasis on individual because that's where the technique and the fundamentals of each position are really honed in and polished up during that time. So that's an important piece, and we'll be looking closer at that as we go. We did get a chance to do some one-on-ones today, you know, which you didn't have a chance to do prior to this time, and that was good. I thought the operation of that was really good. We were in the red zone doing that. They functioned really nice. Some guys made some nice plays. There were some good guys covering down there, good technique. I thought for the first time doing that, it was pretty good for the group. So other than that, I'll open up to questions.
Matt, what was your communication yesterday with Roquan, and what did he communicate to you in terms of where he's at mentally?
He's in a good spot. He's really in a good spot. We had a great conversation talking to him about where he is. He's focused. He's in meetings, and he's wired in that way. And you know, again, he's on PUP right now, so he's not able to get out there and practice. But he's wired in.
Do you sense that a contract would make him physically able to perform?
Well, I know right now that he is on that, and that's all I can say at this time.
Can you tell us, does he have an injury, or is this just a procedural matter?
Yeah, of course, he's on PUP, so that's where he's at.
You can't tell us the injury.
No, I'm not going to talk about a bunch of injuries, you know, and this and that. You know, I might say, hey, this guy's got this soft tissue deal, and he's going to be back in a few days. But other than that, I'm not going to make big comments about injuries.
But just to clarify, so he did take his physical yesterday, and that was a result of what came out of that physical?
Did he participate in the conditioning run?
I would say no, not being on PUP, nope.
How happy were you to see Robert Quinn out there, Brent?
Yeah, that was exciting. So some of the new guys we had out there, obviously we had Robert was there, and, you know, he hasn't done a lot, you know, with our program and all that. So he's, you know, did some individual, and we'll just work him up as we go. And it was exciting to see him out there, and that was really cool. But, you know, Muhammad was out there for the first time, you know, coming off of the procedure he had, you know, in the springtime. So that was really good, and we're excited about that. And then the new linemen. The new linemen were out there today doing some individual, working there, getting the schemes down, and we'll work those guys in as we go. So it was really good. Then Harry, the receiver we had. So I got a chance to visit with him a little bit more before practice, and he looked good running out there too. So nice big body guy, and we're excited to have him too.
Did you get a chance to talk with Robert, and have you got a sense of where he's at as he comes into camp?
No, he feels great. His body feels great. His mind is good, and he's ready to go.
You guys have him on a customized individual ramp-up program?
Yeah, we'll do that with each individual player. I met with Salazar the last couple days, and we do that more with the guys that have age, that have been in the league a long time. So we're very mindful and understanding of how to control that, so those guys can perform at a high level. And I'm not going to talk about who that is and all that, but if a guy's older, he's and been in the league a while, we will definitely do that. And it's on a case-to-case basis, but we work hand-in-hand with the player, okay, with Salazar and Jim Arthur to modify when we need to. So it might be where, hey, a guy's going to do individual, he's going to have 20 reps today instead of having 35 reps. And that's a case-to-case basis, day-to-day basis. So that'll flow and change during the course of training camp.
And after Quinn missed so much of the off-season program, did you have to talk to him as a manager and make sure he's on board? And if so, what gave you the indication that he is on board in previously?
Yeah, I've been talking to him the whole summer. I mean, we've been going back and forth the whole summer, and it's been great communication back and forth, and he's on board, and he's ripping, ready to go, so. Yep.
Kyler got work in the slot today. Have you guys decided Kyler got work in the slot today?
Okay.
Have you guys decided to cross-train him, or is he sticking to?
Yeah, that's kind of what my comment was yesterday. You kind of saw that with him moving in and moving out, So he's a heck of an athlete. He's uber smart. I mean, he's so smart, and he's able to move in and out. He can play any positions. I think the guys could play 3 positions if we let him, but we're not going to do that. But he's doing a great job.
As the former number 1 pick, Harry had expectations. And, do you address those when he comes here? Do you talk about this being a second or a fresh start or a second chance?
Yeah, my message to him when I talked to him on the phone when we signed him, it was really just that. Hey, this is a fresh start. It's a clean slate. We're going to look at you on a day-to-day basis, and this, you dive in and buy into everything we're doing, and we'll see how far it goes. And that was really the conversation.
What are your impressions of Reef and Schofield so far, and where are they in terms of getting up to full speed?
Yeah, limited. My limited impression right now, but I know I've seen them on tape. I've played, against those guys a few times, with my background being, 13 years in the league, so I've played against them a while. So, but the impressions are the same. Hardworking guys, super smart, able to pick up, and flex into positions. So that's really good and helps us as an offense.
Matt, with Tevin Jenkins rotating as that extra lineman, is that a role you could envision for him potentially being like in that swing tackle spot, being the extra lineman in the heavy package?
Yeah, we're certainly looking at a bunch of guys at that spot, but that's going to be a competition for that swing tackle spot, and then who else can play inside, who can flex inside at the guard and center position. So that's going to be something that's ongoing. We're going to look at that the entire training camp.
Is there any positions on the offensive line that are not open for competition? Like, is Lucas Patrick the center? Is Cody Whitehair the left guard? I mean, is that at least in ink at this point?
I don't know if I can answer that right now. I think that it is in flux. I think it depends on who rises. It depends on who rises, and that may bump somebody over or bump somebody in, if that makes sense. So I think we're looking at that. We have to keep an open mind to the best combination, the best 5, and then the best, 3 guys after that. So it's important that we keep an open mind for that.
Had you, back in the spring, there was the discussion about Tevin maybe getting a look at guard. Is the door closed on that, or is that still an option for him? Is he focused more on tackle?
Whose discussion was that? No, I'm saying whose discussion was that? Did we discuss that?
Yeah, that was asked before, and that you
Oh, it was? Okay.
indicated there were meetings and personnel decisions that could have been made there.
Yeah, I don't know. We certainly looked at him and everybody to be able to move in and out for that, but I don't know. We'll look at that combination. If any one of those guys, it doesn't matter who it is. It's playing tackle right now. Say we got Larry and Tevin lined up at the right now, right? You guys have seen that. So, could we move one of those guys inside? Sure. That's certainly a combination that we could look at. And are we going to do that? I'm not sure yet.
There was any Jack
getting some punt return work. He was obviously a very good returner at Alabama. Hasn't done it a ton at the NFL level. I'm just kind of curious, thinking there, and maybe what you feel like his mindset is as a highly paid safety getting work potentially as a returner.
Yeah, I think it's, all hands on deck, right? So we're looking at all those guys back there, if it's Valus or Pringle or whoever that is back there returning those kicks or punts. That's going to be an important piece. We want explosive athletes out on the field, and the more we can do that, and Eddie's certainly that. He's going to be competing for those things, and is it for the second spot or the third spot? I don't know, but he can certainly do it.
Matt, do you think that it has been an asset to you, that it's helped you implement some of your systems, particularly some of your accountability systems and things like that? The fact that your roster has so many guys who are relatively inexperienced, that there isn't a lot of retraining necessarily going on, that you have a bunch of guys that don't have that already hardwired
Right.
From another system for the most part, and are very eager to prove themselves.
No, that's a good point, and I think that's there's some truth to that. Where you get guys that are young, and this is what they know. It's like Brisker or Gordon. It's the first time they're coming in. That's how they do it. But we also acquire players that have that trait. That play hard, that play intense, that play the right way, that have a knack for protecting the ball or taking it away. So we'll acquire those guys, and those guys have that. But we've had guys that have had, a bunch of years of experience that buy into the system, and, man, they just take off. And then they have great seasons for us. So we're expecting a lot of guys to have that as well.
What's been different for you, besides the fact that it's a new team and everything like that, and you're the head coach now, but what's been different for you actually coaching a relatively inexperienced group versus what you had in Indianapolis?
Yeah, it's happened in my career and experience a lot, to coach those guys. I think it's refreshing. Those guys are just sponges. They just take everything in, and they're buying into the systems, offense and defense and kicking. So I think that's a refreshing viewpoint from my standpoint.
Matt, at least externally, the expectations for this team are pretty low. Is that something you, on day one, say to the guys, hey, let's prove people wrong, or is that not something you address?
No, I don't talk about that. I think that it's that's for other people to talk about. We're going to play our best football every single play, and then we're going to do it play after play after play, and it's the people that can do the ordinary things extraordinary day in and day out, okay? And that's what wins football games. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to be detail-oriented with every single rep. So we're going to go back and look at those reps today, how they started, how they finished, how they went in between, and was it full speed, was it under control, and did they execute? And that's what we'll focus on.
Matt, over the next month plus,
How do you run the type of high-intensity camp that you want to run while also being cognizant of staying away from soft tissue injury hell and just trying to make sure that you keep a pulse on the guys' emotional states as well?
Yeah, you just got to look at it. You got to feel it out. But we got to be a hard team though. You can't live soft and play hard. You just can't do it. That's not the way football is. So we got to play hard, and we got to be a hard team. So, but you got to balance that. You got to balance that, when to pull back and when to push, and we'll get a good sense of that.
it's more a feel thing than something that's
Reset in terms of.
I mean, it's set. It's already set the way it's set up.
okay.
I mean, it's every third or fourth day that we have a day off, right? So that's kind of set up for us. There's no two-a-days, so it's kind of already set that way. But again, you got to adjust and adapt and move and customize where you need to when things arise.
Two more.
What are your expectations for Roquan Smith while he's on the PUP list as a leader of the defense to stay so involved?
Just do that. Stay involved. Be a leader. Be engaged, which he's doing and will do. He's a pro. He's a pro. He's been in the league long enough. He's a really good player, and we're excited to have him as a Chicago Bear, and he'll do that.
Matt, Tavon Young got some reps at the first nickel spot, and what have you just seen out of him today, but also since you acquired him?
Who did you say?
Tavon Young.
Yeah, he's done good. He's done a good job, and again, he's right in the middle of that competition. We're going to evaluate that nickel spot day to day. What's the best combination of three corners on the field at the same time, and that's an important piece to what we're looking for defensively.